Should I ask?
Yes, that would help me because
Okay.
I'm so full.
Okay. So first of all, please introduce yourself and maybe about how did you get into contact improvisation?
Yeah. I'm Defne and I have been somehow in charge of curating the Falling CI. I have been traveling and taking part in many festivals as a participant, as a teacher, as a researcher, as a documenter in so many years, and I have been somehow making a note to one side what really works for me as any of these roles, and what is a contact gathering, what is really the aim, or what for me. And I did organize a festival, improvised music and dance before, which was actually the first introduction of contact improvisation for me. A colleague of mine and a French colleague were organizing a festival, and an English yoga teacher of mine took me to that festival as a participant. Yana and Büyük were organizing transit in Istanbul, the first one. I was a participant, thanks to this Helen Knows, who was my yoga teacher, who took me, said, "This is really for you." And I was like, no, I don't go into contemporary dance. It's a different world. I had a different image of dance at that time. But that she insisted, and I ended up being there, and I ended up being the coordinator of that festival 2 years later when Tallinn left and I took over from her. And thus, instant composition, improvisation, and contact improvisation has always been together with me. And so I was always interested in the improvisation aspect a lot, and I've been training myself in improvisation, in creativity and performance alongside the techniques of contact. And I've been involved in documentation of contemporary dance teaching through the conservatory that I was teaching, but also through international EU project that we funded together with Kirsten Kusmal and Esther Gal, actually 10 years ago. So I am very eclectic myself, as you see. Like I'm a sociologist. I've studied art therapy. I'm a trauma healer. I did somatic experience and practice, physical therapy, and it's an ongoing. It never ends. I always see myself as a student, and I try to create events where I'm not only the transmitter of something, but I also feed, and I also continue learning and researching, inquiring. So yeah, and I think, as I said to one of my ex-boyfriends, the keyword in life for me is sharing. And it was surprising for him because he was a single child, and it was like, sharing? I never thought it would be a keyword. But I grew up in a family, like even if we have like 5 mushrooms on the table, my brother and me, we share it into 2 and we eat it. And if I want to give one more to him that I cannot eat, but the starting is always this fairness, this sharing. And so I think this is the base of my work. I love sharing, and I love midwifing things also. Like you have something, I see it, maybe you're not aware of it, I want you to have it, you know? And thanks to Martin Keogh, along my journey, I met him in Vienna as a teacher. I've been working with him, but I was talking about my tryout in sharing contact. And it was first actually in Romania. I met Malcolm Manning, and he said, "Go ahead and teach this." I said, "How am I gonna teach it? I wanna dance it." You know, like, don't call it teaching. You have the potential. You can transmit this, but keep sharing. You know. And but then it was not easy. I was doing some jam facilitation and sometimes a bit labbing, but I never felt that I was a teacher of contact. Until some people from the community said, "Defne, do a workshop or something. Share what you have with us." That's Engin, actually. So I did that, and then I saw the potential. It started to come to substance, and Martin Keogh was like, when I was complaining, but it doesn't come together, we need a community. It's like, Defne, you cannot create a community alone. It's like, oh yes, you have to find comrades that really want to invest in building the community, not necessarily invest in their development of contact improvisation dancing. So there were people. Veysel was there, and Ayberk came in, Fahri Ayberk. And then all the Turkish people that you have seen, maybe 80% have been my students in these first workshops, and it started to work. I started to call myself, I'm a contact teacher, and in Vienna, Sabine Parzer invited me. It was my first international teaching to Vienna to teach contact. Then I realized that, okay, I teach it my way, and in my teaching it's so important for me that it's a lot of space for self-initiated learning, that I'm not teaching a specific form or technique, that I create principles or create a frame that the principles can merge. And this attitude in me called for labbing more, and I needed to develop, because I was able to teach beginner level, but then I wanted to also get myself teaching abilities higher. So I said I need comrades rather than students, let's lab together. And I facilitated a few labs. 20, 25 people were joining on and off, and there was a moment that I was also doing my PhD, and I was in a place that I started a project on art therapy, and I was looking into how art therapy tools and approaches can be used for creative processes of dance artists. I was really on that side of myself. But along that side, I was doing the contact outside the academia and in the non-professional field in Çatı, Contemporary Dance Artists Association. And but then things didn't work out the way I wish they could in the university, due to some politics and politics of daily life, human encounters. I really felt like there's no place for this research here, and I didn't feel comfortable, and I paused my PhD for a while, and I really focused on the non-professional world. And then my advisor called me one day, like, and what are you doing about your PhD? And I said, like, I'm not doing it because I don't believe in the project anymore. It doesn't fit the situation in the university. I said, but you're doing a lot outside. Yeah, I'm doing contact, and I'm doing a lot of documentation. I'm publishing my class notes on contact improvisation, lab notes. Like, I have this like 20 people on and off, and but she said, you have so many documents, like maybe look into them and create another project out of it and change your PhD subject. And at that time we were labbing, and I facilitated many labs, but there was a moment I wanted to step back and say, who wants to facilitate? And we were I was stepping out, and people were facilitating the first round like this. And then I said, you know what? My advisor advised me this, like, shall we do would you be interested in supporting me in doing my research in contact improvisation for my PhD? And 10 of the people said we are in. And I designed my research project, and I already had so many documents that I could already analyze, and a lot of narrative analysis of how the language, in language people were expressing their relation to contact, what was contact for them, and how it was affecting their life, their art, and their physicality. And I was observing this change also. So I designed 2 retreats. Out of 10 people, 8 could make these retreats. So they ended up being my research team. And after that, I managed to write my PhD on the effects of technique, pedagogy, and approach of contact improvisation in the psychosocial development of amateur dancers, non-professional dancers, and physical and artistic development also on one side. And after that, I realized that people were willing to do more in the community, especially out of these 8 people. And I asked these 8 people, is anybody interested in developing facilitation skills? And 4 of them said, we want. And then I led a supervision period, and these 4 people, like, I threw them in the water and they didn't know how to swim, but they made it. They co-facilitated 8 weeks of labs for the outer circle, and I supervised them. Every week we were meeting, they were deciding what to teach, how to share, and I was giving them feedback. After the teachings also, it was also a new experience for me to supervise. and like being there but not being there. The first round I was with them, and then they did another round where I was totally away, and they would ask me questions. So it's a long period. And then the military intervention happened in Turkey, and my husband and I we decided to leave. That delicate period was happening also in my neighborhood, and I was alone in the house, and I was physically, I think, like really affected by the bombings and the fight in the neighborhood, and the urgency was so much in my nervous system. So we very quickly decided to leave, and it's been like 2 years now. Things are way better in Turkey, but we ended up leaving, and it was the biggest letting go practice of my life. Because as a therapist I had many clients, as a teacher I was having a lot of workshops, as a supervisor the community was like rich. I finished my PhD, I could like fly off, and contact improvisation started to be really something people, even not in the dance scene, were hearing the word, being curious. So we were doing lots of translations from old CQs, publishing them on our website, and like, but then I had to just disappear. To realize that was the biggest gift of my life for the contact community, because when I left, the people that I supervised took over. Hakan started to teach in the association, Dilek started to work with migrant women through contact, Hazal went back to Ankara and she started facilitating jams and labs there. They were organizing events for me, and once in a while I would come and do workshops, and it's like, wow, I don't have to be there and it's happening. And Fahri had to leave also before the military intervention. He fell in love and he moved to Italy for his love, and he became a father. So me and him, we were out of this supervision group, let's say. And then, but we could not let go of this core group. And we were thinking, how can we support Hakan, Dilek and Hazal in Turkey with Fahri, and trying to find parameters, you know. And then we started Skyping very regularly. And then we said, what do we need? And I was saying, you should not only think of me, like we have a big network. I can call my teacher friends and they can come and teach in Turkey. And in the past time, we were doing this a lot. And inviting friends who were passing by, maybe symbolic amount of payments because of the economic situation in Turkey. But a lot of people like Uli, Gabby, Martin, Angela, way back in the years. I mean, people really supported us, in me at least, developing as a teacher. And but then it was like, oh, how do we do this? And then I don't know how this festival idea came in. And I organized transit for years, and I said like, no. I got my lesson well. I'm not getting into a festival, because I was alone when I was doing the transit. Only Yanel and me, and we were trying to have volunteers, but the team was not there. So I tried myself so much and burned out, and there was not a feedback from the Turkish community. But the team convinced me that there is a community now, and there may be a feedback, and I'm not alone. That actually they are ready to share the burden with me. If I bring in my vision and my know-how and accumulated knowledge through organizing things, through traveling, through teaching. And it was so interesting, because I'm afraid most of the time to say, I know this, I can. But the team was so like, Defne, you are the senior, and we want to benefit from it. And it felt so interesting, like, actually, do I know? Of course I know. But I don't want to enforce it. But then there was this beautiful space in between, that they were bringing their stuff. They knew what they want. They knew what they can. I will take in charge of the accounting. Oh, I can do the logo. Oh, I will do the website, and I'll be better in the field. And they know what they're talking. They don't even need me, but actually, somehow they said, yes, we can, but we want to do it together with you. We respect and we love what you want to suggest also. So I felt, okay, there's space for me also. So it was a very balanced group coming together. And it was so organic, it just flew. We wanted to do it in April, and then we agreed with a venue. A month before the event, the venue said, oh, oops, we gave you the wrong weekend. It was going to be a short event in Istanbul. And it was so blessing, you know, we were upset, but 2 seconds later, we're like, great. We weren't ready to do it in Istanbul at that short time. And then I always, because if I didn't move out of Turkey to France, I was going to move to Pastoral. I had enough of Istanbul, 25 years living there. And I'm from this region. I'm from Aegean. I'm from Izmir. And I always wanted to come back to nature, and I had enough of Istanbul. It was beautiful. It served me well. Its mission was completed, and we were moving here. And I said, you know what? If we're gonna do it, if we're not canceling but postponing, let's not do it in Istanbul. Let's go to Pastoral Valley. And the team was like, yes, maybe we need also. And I think we did this for ourselves, because me and Fahri being away, Hazal being in Ankara, Dilek and Hakan trying things in we missed each other. And we said, at least if nobody comes, we'll have holidays in Pastoral Valley and just dance, you know. I think